One of the most annoying things of running a business is holding people accountable. I mean, just the word accountability by itself is boring, but here's what I've learned. I've learned most of the time entrepreneurs who want to make it and want to build a big business, they're selective hearing. They only want to hear the exciting things. You know, what is it going to be when I'm a millionaire? What is it going to be when I'm driving a nice car and I have a Ferrari or a Porsche, a big house, all this stuff, and people know I'm famous? Forget about that. The reality it is, behind closed doors, what are the boring things I'm supposed to do to give me even a chance at scaling my business to this level? And accountability is one of those things. So let's talk about accountability. I'm gonna talk about 9 effective ways to holding your team accountable in this video. But prior to getting into it, I wanna explain to you why the importance of this. So here's what you gotta keep in mind. One, we hate it when someone holds us accountable. No one likes it. We don't like it when our parents hold us accountable. We don't like it when our spouse holds us accountable. We don't like it when our sibling holds us accountable. We don't like when our boss holds us accountable. We don't like when our football coach, anybody. We just don't like to be held accountable because there's a possibility of a letdown and we didn't do something as effective as we should have been. But you know what's even more annoying than being held accountable? This is what I've learned. Most people don't like to hold other people accountable. Most people don't like to hold other people accountable. Most people are afraid of holding other people accountable. Why is that? Because we don't like to show someone that they're not efficient enough. We don't like to show someone that they didn't hit their commitment because we generally want people to like us. And if I hold this person accountable, we get off the call, nothing about it is exciting. So we get off the call, you know, I can't believe I don't want that friction with the other person. So I'm not very good at holding people accountable. It's not that you're not very good at holding people accountable. It's like you don't like to hold people accountable because you get the feeling that you're not having that person like you at that time. And you got to grow up and become a big boy and a big girl to run a big business. If you don't do that, you will go out of business very quickly or stay small forever and never develop real leaders. You see, I have 2 kids. And with my boys, when I think about my father raising me, my father was very good at teaching me certain things. Pat, don't be afraid of this. You can't do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do it. On my boys, the other day, one of them was wrestling with me, and then he goes to mom, and mom is just laying there, and he's just running around, he pulls mom's hair very bad. And I pulled him aside. I said, come here right now, come here right now. Tico comes aside. I said, look at me in my eyes, look at me in my eyes. I said, you don't ever, ever pull your mother's hair. Ever. You don't touch your mother, you don't pull her hair, you don't touch a woman, ever. You don't ever lay a hand on a woman, ever. You don't ever do this. Why was that specific? Because that is a very, very important thing for this kid to learn at 4 years old, so he never does that for the rest. I said, you don't ever do this. The only person that gets to pull your mother's hair is the daddy. And every time I've done that, we've had a baby. We got a 3rd one on the way now, but that's a whole different story. I don't want to get into that. That's not the purpose of this video. So accountability is that I don't want to have that conversation with my son. I'd rather wrestle with the guy. I'd rather have him hit me in the face and we wrestle. He pulls my ear. We're having a good time and we kissing. We're doing this up. We're just running around. I'd rather do that. I don't want to sit down and tell the kid not to do certain things, but he's depending on me to do it long term. If I truly want to build a leader, the only way I want to build a leader is by putting them on the spotlight to know that long term he can end up becoming a leader. When you look at some athletes in sports that are difficult people to coach, like a DeMarcus Cousins, that's got so much talent, but someone needs to get a hold of this guy and put him in his place. And Sacramento's management team is not allowing that to take place. That's why that guy's not going to be a leader until the management team defends the coaching team. But anyways, this is not ESPN. We're talking business here. So let's get right into it. Point number 1 of what is an effective way to holding your people accountable. Number 1, very simple. Do not be afraid to hold them accountable and call them out when they don't keep their word. It's very simple. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to say, how come you didn't hit the number that you committed to? Why did this not hit? It's very simple. Why did you not hit this number here? Make it very clear that this is not personal, because sometimes when I'm holding people accountable, the energy, enthusiasm needs to go lower. You raise it, you're sounding like you're upset at them. So you almost go lower and you say, hey, you said last month you were going to do this much and you did this. Any reason why you didn't hit your commitment? So when do you think I can count on you delivering on your commitments? When do you think I can? When do you think we're going to work on this number being met? When do you think we can do that? Because you looked me in my eyes and you told me you're going to do this much, but you didn't do that much. When do you think we can count on you delivering on your numbers? And I'm going to have a conversation with them. I'll say, listen, know this. As a person, we're good. I don't have a problem with you as a person. I have a very big problem with your performance. I think you can do better, but I have a problem with the fact that you only hit 40% of your commitment that you made. Why is that? Number one, confront. Don't be afraid. Two, question their answers. Question their answers. I'll tell you what I mean by questioning their answers. If somebody, for instance, if I'm doing a conference call and I'm holding accountable and somebody says, I said, so how many phone calls did you make? They'll say, I made around 200. I say, around? I said, there's no such thing as around. You either made 187 calls or you made 192 calls, but there's no such thing as around. How many people did you talk to last week? Around 10 people. There is no such thing as around. Did you talk to 5? Did you talk to 6, 11, 8? What is it? Specific. So don't let them get away with telling you around. Somewhere around. I'm not a fan of the word around. Around is not specific. I need specific. I was having a meeting last week. Where were we at, Maury? We were in Chicago on Saturday. On Friday night, I had a meeting. And we were having a meeting on Friday or Saturday with some of the leaders. And one of the leaders I was talking to, I said, so let me ask you a question. Why are you doing this business? And he said, well, I'm doing this business because I want to become financially free. I said, I have a hard time believing that. And he says, what do you mean? I said, I have a very hard time believing that. I said, how many hours a week do you work? What time do you come to the office? He says, 8 a.m. at the office. I said, what time do you leave? 10 p.m. I said, you're at the office 14 hours a day? Yes. I said, okay. I said, how good of a closer are you in the field? He said, I'm the best in the office. I said, you're the best in the office. What percentage of the time do you close? Out of 10 appointments, how many will you close? He says, 80% I'll close. I said, you should have never told me that. He said, why is that? I said, well, because you've only closed 6 policies for the entire year, okay? And out of 6 policies you've closed for the entire year, you're an 80% closer. That means you've only ran 8 appointments for the year. So in the 10 weeks that we've had this year so far, you've ran 8 appointments. That's less than 1 appointment a week. I said, how many appointments do you run a week? He says, that's about right. I said, you run 1 appointment a week? He says, yes. I said, how many phone calls do you make a day? He says, 5. I says, why are you even doing this business? I said, it's not fair to your family. I said, you got to go get a job. You can't be an entrepreneur like this. Your wife's counting on you. I said, so tell me about calls you're making. I'm making 5 calls. Tell me about what you're doing throughout the day. Are you checking Newsweek, news feed on Facebook all day? What are you doing? And we went through this. I've done this with numerous people. And I said, do you really want to become financially free? Yes. I said, it doesn't sound like it. Does your activity sound like you want to be financially free? No. Why are you, so I'm going deep into finding the reason. Because if I don't get that deep, you're going to leave and there is no effectiveness in that meeting. You think you had an effective meeting because sometimes, we go and the message is just about motivation. No. Motivation without numbers and specific accountability, nothing happens. So we went deeper and deeper and deeper until it was clear. And then they need an instruction of 1, 2, 3. So if they agree with you and they're coachable, which in this scenario that was the case, then I have to give a 1, 2, 3. Here's 3 things I want to see happen. 1, you got to figure out why you're doing this business. 2, you got to meet with your wife. 3, I need a message from you for you tell me why you're doing this business and what's going to change with you moving forward. Fair enough. And then boom, that's what I got from them. And then that came back to me. I figured it out. And then we move forward with the next step, right? So number 3 now. Number 3 effective way of holding people accountable. Make specific statements, not general. Let me explain what I mean by specific statements. Rookie leaders tend to do a lot of, bro, but I think you can do it. We got to get it together. We're a great team. We're going to go pull this off. This is amazing. This is great. General. Okay, specific. Listen, do you really want to get it going? Yes. Here's what I think you need to do. You need to run a minimum of 20 appointments a week. You need to make a minimum of 200 calls a week. You need to finish a minimum of a book every 2 weeks. You need Specific.
Well, let's get specific, Bob. I'll try to be more specific.
Can I get your buy-in on this? Yes. What can I expect from you? Boom, boom, boom. What's going to change with you? Boom, boom, boom. Specific statement, not general statements. Now here's another one as well. What statements you make that moves people? Specific. What moves people? Deadlines. In sports, players play because they have a 24-second shot clock. You have 24 seconds to shoot the ball. In football, you have 35 seconds to make a play. There is a deadline. You have the 4th quarter, 6 minutes left, 2-minute warning. There is a deadline. If there's deadlines in sports, there's got to be deadlines in business because there's definitely deadlines in life. 80 to 90 years, some of us 100 years, there's a deadline. We're not going to live for 1,000 years. There's a deadline. We got to go get it going. We got to go get it going. We got to go get it going. I'm going to turn 30 years old soon. I'm going to turn 40 years old soon. I'm going to turn 21 years old soon. What's my life look like? Did I think I was going to be at this level at 30? There's got to be deadlines. So when are you going to get this done? You got one more week. By Friday, I need to see X, Y, Z. What can I see by Friday? Specific, deadline. Minimize general statements. Specific deadlines is how you want to speak with your teammates. 5, give clear expectation. Step number 4 is give a clear expectation. The clearer you are, the more they know how to rise up to it. The general you are, I mean, this is a little bit different than the measuring with the numbers, but be clear in whatever direction you're given. Be clear in whatever expectation you have with them. General, people sit there and say, I want to move, but what do you want me to do? Here's what I want you to focus on, clear. Perfect. Step number 5, use measurable figures. The benefits of using measurable figures is it avoids conflicts because no one can get upset at their numbers. If I sit here and I tell you, you told me you're going to do this, but this is how much you did at the end of the month. You said you're going to make 25 sales, but you made 6 sales. What happened here? That's a very big difference. It's not like you fell short by 10% and only did 22 sales. You went from 25 to 6 sales. How is that possible? Were you working? What were you doing? So tell me, and then they're going to explain it to you, right? And the reason why I like to use numbers is because it is, in my opinion, I sent a message this morning to some leaders, and this is what I said to them in the message. I said, you know, there's a lot of people that want to brag about how hard they work. I've been in this business long enough, and when I would hear people saying, I work so hard, you don't understand, I'm working hard. I come to the office early, I make so many calls, I'm reading, I'm developing myself. How is this business not working for me? Here's what I tell them. I say, you know what's the difference between me and you? What's that? What you're telling yourself is that there's a possibility that if you do everything you can possibly do in this business, you can still fail. I don't subscribe to that mindset. What do you mean? See, I believe that if you follow a certain format and you work hard and you give everything you got, in my opinion, 100% guaranteed you're going to succeed. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. My opinion is that I'm working so hard and it failed. Not possible. It's mathematically impossible. It is not possible. It is not possible for me to say, I'll take 100 shots and I make 0. It's not possible if I'm a 2-year-old kid and I don't have the strength for it. It's not possible for me to take 100 shots today and only make 9, and next week I take 100 shots and I only make 9, and next week I take 100 shots and I only make 9. No, eventually it's going to go 9, then 11, then 12, then 13, then 17 out of 100, then 19 out of 100, then 20 out of 100. I'm going to get better as long as I'm making adjustments. I'm going to get better. But when somebody says, I'm working hard but nothing's closing, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. How many appointments you ran last week? How many calls did you make last week? How many people did you go on biz dev? How many people did you reach out last week? There is no such thing as hard work without it working because math doesn't lie. The number 4 comes after the number 3. The number 5 comes after the number 4. The more you're driving with specific measurable numbers, the more people can look at that and saying, I just can't hide behind numbers. So at the end of the day, reports don't lie, numbers don't lie, a leader's bulletin doesn't lie, and that supports how hard you're working, or that says you're just making it up. You're BSing everybody. You're not working that hard. You keep telling you're working hard, but your numbers are not reflecting that. So that's why I like numbers, because it never lies to me. And typically, when it comes to the area of talking about numbers, I'll come back and I say, listen, there's 5 reasons. Again, if we're still on the point of giving measurable figures to help avoid conflict, for me, there's 5 reasons why somebody doesn't do well in sales. 5 reasons why somebody doesn't do well in sales or whatever they're selling. Number 1 is hard work. You ain't working hard enough. You ain't running enough appointments. 2 is competency. You don't know the product very well, so you need to take the time to learn the product. 3 is how to. You don't know how to sell. So you may know a lot about the product, but you're not a good salesman. Because some people say, well, I've been in sales for 20 years. Then how come you're not selling anything? Because you're not taking the time to be competent in the product. Just because you were good in pharmaceutical sales doesn't mean you're going to do good in real estate. Just because you were good in real estate doesn't mean you're going to do good in insurance. You need to take the time and have you become competent in that product. 4 is your identity. You don't believe you're worth people doing business with. You need to work on your identity. You have limiting beliefs. And then 5 is people skills. You're just not good with people. You got to learn how to read how to win friends and influence people. You got to get better with people. You got to learn how to become more charismatic, charming, your own way, how to look at people in the eyes, how to stand certain ways, how to talk to people in certain ways. And those are things that can be worked on. Those are not things that cannot be worked on. Nothing about that has to do with God-given talent. All of that has to do with things that you can work on and improve. 6th way to hold people accountable. Consequences if the job doesn't get done. Consequences if the job doesn't get done. What does this mean? Does this mean they get fired? Like, oh, do you really sit there and threaten people if they don't get fired? No, but this is how I explain it. Let me explain to you how I explain it. I'll sit down and I'll say this. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think just because I'm a CEO of this financial firm and we're worth whatever we're worth, some people say we're worth 50, some people say we're worth 100, whatever people say we're worth, do you think me as the CEO of this company, you think I'll ever get fired? And they say, no, you're the CEO. I said, what do you mean? You don't think I'll get fired? How do you think CEOs get fired? Do you know who fires CEOs? Who fires CEOs? Customers, sales reps, employees, board, vendors, carriers. You don't think CEOs get fired? CEOs get fired every single day. I can get fired. The consequences of me as a CEO not being at the top of my game and being casual and not getting better and not building relationships with the vendors, carriers, all that stuff, the consequences of me not making the environment better for my employees, not making it better for my sales reps, not making it better for my vendors, my care, all that. You don't think I'll get fired? I'll get fired. Absolutely, I'll get fired. So what makes you think you can't get fired? You also can get fired. I never thought about it that way. Well, listen, if you're sales, you're not selling, your client's going to fire you. If you're sales and you don't call your clients, they're going to fire you. If you're a supervisor or you're director of leading 20, 30 people and you're not in the office selling yourself and you're big shotting and driving your Mercedes-Benz, you come to the office at 11 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning, your people are going to fire you. They're going to go work for somebody else. I've said it over and over again. If you don't take care of your people, somebody else will. If you don't take care of your people, somebody else will. So there's consequences if you don't do this. And you explain this. And when I explain this, then we have an understanding. Then we take the next steps of what happens if you don't take your business seriously. And then they understand. So what are the consequences? Whatever it is, you got to give them their consequences. If this does not happen, here's what could happen. Fair enough. Great. Next step. Point number 7. Coach them through their challenges. So it's not just about coming and saying, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Great, we're done, now meeting. No. A good leader is going to say, let me give you some coaching. Here's what I suggest. In this area, do this, this, this. In that area, have you tried doing this, this, this? I was talking to one of our guys, and I said, listen, you seem so stiff around people. When you and I are around each other, you're so comfortable. Why are you so stiff and uncomfortable? Well, I said, here's what we need to do. Every time we go in the elevator or we go somewhere, we talk to the people around me. Just spark a conversation. I said, next elevator, you're sparking a conversation. Okay, I can do that. Start it. Next time we go, you start, okay, I'm going to do that. Because it's direction being given. So here's what I think, here's what I'm going to coach you to do. Try this, try that, read this, watch this video, listen to this podcast, listen to this iTunes. But there's got to be coaching and direction being given after you're holding people accountable. Point number 8, the importance of the role they play on the team. Mario and I were talking to you. Mario, you gave me a very interesting thing. Mario said, Pat, do you really think my vote counts? Do you really think my vote counts? I said, what do you mean? He says, do people's vote really count? I said, that's very interesting you say that. And let me explain it in a completely different way. I said, do you think if you weren't doing what you're doing with the company, you think the company would feel it? You think you're doing something important for the company? I think so. I said, I think so too. Then I went through one by one everybody that's here. I said, do you think that person's playing an important role? Yeah. How about this person? Yeah. How about Moro? How about yeah. Oh, yeah. I said, so let's take them out. Do we feel it? Yes. Their vote counts. If their vote counts, that means your vote counts. The point I'm trying to make to you is your position is a very, very important role in the company. You ought to take it very serious because the company sees effects of you not taking this thing serious. We need you to rise up and perform at the highest possible level that I know you can. But you gotta understand, you are a very big, important part of this company here. Once you explain that, and I firmly believe that, then they understand the important role they play in wearing the jersey that you represent, but they gotta know that. And the last point number 9 is you gotta finish with love. And let me tell you what I mean by love. You gotta know that you're dealing with human beings. You gotta know that you're dealing with people. These people have emotions. These people have pride. They have bragging rights. They want to know that they make a difference. It's important for you to know what role they're playing in your company. What are their long-term goals, their long-term vision? What are some things they want to help become a reality in their lives? And if you truly care about that becoming a reality for them, I guarantee your team's gonna feel it. And they're not gonna have a problem allowing you to hold them accountable because you truly wanna help them advance in their own lives, whatever that may be. Whatever that may be, you see them advancing in their own lives. So when I sit down and I have a conversation with somebody, and the conversation ends, you know, it's reminding them that we're here to help you and I want to see your dreams become a reality, but you got to step up your game. And I think that's one of the most important things in accountability. When you see coaches, football players, football coaches, basketball coaches, and you see some players that are willing to run through the wall for a certain coach, you better believe John Wooden wasn't just great at teaching stuff. You better believe, you know, Pete Carroll isn't just a guy that knows how to, you know, call the best plays. Matter of fact, he's not even known for the best play caller. But his people really believe that he loves them. His people really believe that he's a leader. His people really believe when he calls them out. You got to be that type of a leader when you're wanting your people to be held accountable and you want to hold them accountable. And don't be afraid about holding them accountable. Start that today. Figure out an area in your business that you can hold somebody accountable and try it today. Start with your kids. Start with everybody around you. And you'll see a bigger difference taking place in your life. And you'll also be recognized as a leader instead of just somebody that's out there playing their own role. Hold them accountable, they'll appreciate. So what I would tell you is this. If you watch this video, accountability goes very much with time wasters. Ilya, if we can put a link, can we make that thing sound? I want to hear sounds come up. There you go. So click over here to watch the video I did on 16 time wasters of entrepreneurs, because I think time wasters goes very much with accountability. Both of them you'll get a lot about to helping with accountability as you're coaching people as well as yourself. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. The link should be on the bottom here. And if you haven't gone to the website, patrickbetdavid.com, you should see it right here, patrickbetdavid.com. Click here to go to the website. You'll find a ton more content there as well. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.